What's up, everybody? I'm sitting down today with my friend Casey Carpenter. He is an incredible loan officer and a good friend, and really has some insights that I thought was important to bring to the table so that the folks at home could kind of hear his side of the fence and not just hear from me all the time. So thank you very much for coming and joining me today.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. I'm glad to be in your studio, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, digging the space, man. Like it a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, new spot, so new digs, who dis?
Yeah.
And so, glad to have you in here to start with. For those of you that don't know Casey, make sure you check him out. All his details are going to be in the description below. He has what's currently the #3 podcast as far as real estate and mortgage goes on Spotify, the MLO Show, along with Addie Net. What's up, Addie? And so definitely check those guys out. They've done some really cool stuff for a long time, brought a lot of really good information to the table. So,
yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
I guess we'd kind of start with that, like people always ask me, like,
yeah,
how did that start? Like, how did you guys get into like a mortgage real estate podcast, because it's kind of like, I mean, you're starting to see a little bit more these days, but like, how did that happen? And really it was just COVID, COVID 2020, all of us were stuck at home, and we wanted to start putting out content to people from, an education base and more of that video aspect. Because believe it or not, this was, back then, like there wasn't a whole lot of video yet getting pushed, not like you're seeing it now, especially like with your channel and everything you guys are doing over there. It just wasn't as much as it is now. So like we started that process literally from home, each other's homes. Like even Zooming, I think is the platform we were using, and then we just spun it into that podcast, and then we just hit it from there, running, and we're 139 episodes deep,
wow,
4 years later.
Yeah,
so
that's a body of work.
Yeah,
that's like seriously putting in some time on it.
Yeah.
So clearly, it's proven some value to you to kind of bring this extra education to the people. Have you got much feedback from the people that you're working with about the content that you're putting out and how it's maybe helped them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm like a big advocate for video marketing. Ever since, and probably just being younger a little bit, with our generation of people, it's kind of morphed to that, right? Like we've seen all the social media apps come in and all that stuff, and believe it or not, guys, in our business, real estate, the average age is usually 40s and 50s, right? They're still old mentality kind of tactics, which are still very good, I think, in our business, handwritten cards, door hangers, mail, and stuff like that. But I was always like coming into this profession, like pushing video content. Like this can be the new wave. Yeah. Let's get it out there. It'll help, promote your business, I think, to a whole different level than, what our standards in the industry were. So since I got into, mortgage business back in 2015, it's like I've been a constant advocate for doing video marketing and just trying to tell everybody about it. And so now as we built this podcast space and the MLO show and started pushing that out a lot, our feedback is like tenfold. It's great because you get people to actually now see it from a body of work standpoint and the videos, and then they're getting their own spin on it, like even with you, Kev, like at the beginning, talking with you, like you could kind of see where that was going, and then spinning off like now all, your background of video and audio, and it's kind of spinning off your channels. And I promoted it to within the community for like partnership growth. Like, and that's the biggest thing I think that you can get from something like that. You're getting your face out there to market yourself, but you can promote other businesses. You can help other businesses succeed, other business partners, if that's your real estate agents or mortgage lenders or title and stuff like that. Actually help the whole industry as a whole, like really promote themselves and try to take it to the next level. And just business in general, right? Like trying to help people. So kind of a B2B, sales standpoint, but where it's like, I'm just out there just kind of having fun and talking shop. And that's where like the growth comes from. And then what I really like is where you get like that consumer-based touch. So like when you're putting it out to, whatever platforms, YouTube, is a #1 run, but then you have Facebook, you have Instagram and stuff, and you're able to kind of capture, I think, more audience of like all the different demographics. Like, you know, your great aunt Cheryl's catching the clip that you just put on from Facebook. And it's like, you know, so they like that. And then I will get my sphere of clients and friends and everyone that I have on social media to chime in. Like, they'll direct message me, they'll send me, you know, even if it's just like, you know, thumbs up or a little comment, like keep doing the good work and stuff like that. So that feedback's like super important to me, but also, you know, tells me that at least I'm putting out stuff there for everyone to see, whether you're looking to buy real estate or not. You know, at least they're getting a touch of Casey.
See, and I think that's kind of like the big important part of it. Like, all businesses have changed since COVID. Everybody's business model has changed. Everyone has to do some kind of content in one way or another. And it's almost, I mean, marketing, yeah, it's kind of part of it, but it's a little bit more than that for me. Don't get it wrong. I am a for-profit business, most definitely. At the end of the day, and we all are, whether we're working for someone else's business or our own. So profit is definitely in mind, but I think the big advantage of having this kind of content, people can get to know information that they wouldn't necessarily. If it was just super salesy all the time and we're just trying to like hit these selling points and these bullet points just to garner interest, like that's one thing, but I find a lot more value in bringing information, especially stuff that's kind of shrouded or a little bit behind the curtain, things that people don't necessarily see or know every day, and being able to bring those to the forefront so that folks like the ones listening at home right now are going to be able to get a little bit more of a clear picture and also see what some of the different roads are that they should take. You know, that's one of the biggest advantages of having a mortgage broker or having a like really educated real estate broker. No offense to those of you hairdressers out there that do it part-time trying to make some money, but we actually do this all day, every day. And so the information that we have to bring forward, we see a lot of things that other people don't. So, you know, that's a really cool opportunity that we have, and we can write it off as marketing and, you know, on our taxes or whatever. But really what we're really doing is educating our community around us, and that's making them make more money. So honestly, I think in the long run, and I'll say this all day long, we make our clients way more money than we make for ourselves. No question. Yeah. You know, the thing that we do every day is get people into a position where their equity positions can grow. And the growth that they get off that equity position is far more than the cost of doing business with us any day of the week. You know?
Yeah.
And that's
that's a good, I mean, that's a great point. Like I've always looked at it like, you know, I mean, no one's sitting here writing us a check right now, you know, it's like we're educating, right? And when you're helping someone succeed, I mean, whether that's in real estate or they're looking, you know, at just maybe your videos just for some insight, you know, on how you're just doing a video, right? You're helping someone get to that next level, you know, and that's what I like the most about just trying to put out content or having conversations with people and talking to them. It's like, how can I help you, you know, achieve maybe the next goal or get to that next spot? And that's, I mean, you know, in real estate too, it's just like, we always preach it, you know, it's a great investment to do, that equity, that growth that occurs there. I mean, you can pass that on to families, generational wealth can be created. Me and Kevin have helped plenty of people buy homes when they're the first person in their entire family to ever purchase a house. Like, you're breaking also generational, you know, norms where like they just rented their whole family, right? Like life, and then now you got one that's like, maybe I could buy, right? And you took it from that step. And the flip side of that is maybe they found you because they saw a random video on YouTube or, you know, heard a random podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know with it. So I'm kind of glad it's gone that way a little bit, peeling back the veil a little and showing more conversations with the people that are actually involved in the industry and how they work together. I think it's sort of making people a little bit more approachable, for sure. Yep. I heard a recent survey about people who are future home buyers who are looking into buying a home. And something like 87+% of them said that they prefer to work with somebody who has some video content that they've put out.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Absolutely have to agree with that, because then you can kind of like get a vibe and see if you can trust them, see if you like them, or if they're like super shady and shifty like me. No, I'm just kidding. And see if it's someone that they can trust and that they would be able to like walk through this with, because a lot of what we do really is like a trust fall exercise. Like we are walking people through the fire, and as they go through the process of acquiring this giant asset, which is the biggest investment that most people make in their whole life, they go through all of these stages. They go through all of these emotions. It's not just paperwork and opening a door or a house here and there. A lot of my job as an agent when I'm working with people is to help them get through the process of, like, first off, after offer is accepted, within 24 hours, you got buyer's remorse. Then you have just all of these stages of fear and grief and loss. I mean, they go through like the same emotional cycles that you do when you lose a loved one, almost. I mean, it's a lot quicker, mind you.
Yeah.
But they totally do. And so that personal side of it is a huge piece. And so for people out there that are independent business owners are trying to get it going, make sure you make content for that exact reason, is to really be able to connect with folks, and then they can really hear if your message is one that they resonate with, and you don't have to find out while you're already trying to do business dealings if you like each other or not.
Yeah.
If they've seen you and you're communicating stuff that they can resonate with, they go, okay, I can talk with this person about my situation.
Yeah, I think it's like a great way to get to know somebody before ever getting to know anybody, right? Like, you're like, man, I've never worked with Casey or Kev. Like, what are their personalities like? Or how do they even conduct themselves? And like, just watch a video, listen to a podcast. Like, you'll be able to learn so much about maybe that individual person. And I think for us, like, in the clients that have reached out or that I've helped through them catching me off of YouTube or Instagram, Facebook, or our MLO podcast on Spotify and all the other podcast platforms, is that they felt like they already knew me before I ever worked with them, because a lot of them have listened to stuff. And like, I helped a client down in California one time, and that was all from him listening to the MLO show and liked the content, felt comfortable. And actually, we were speaking just recently about some different stuff that he was involved in, and it was some different type investment loans and things, and he reached directly out, and it was a cool way to know, like, you can help clients out there just by using this kind of platform of video, podcasts, and stuff like that. But like, you're allowing that person to really step into like your world with you without ever needing to go sit down face to face with them and do that, which that comes with the job later on. But like, initially up front, they can get to know you without you making them know you, right?
Totally. And we have opportunity to provide a lot of information and value up front.
Yep.
So like myself, I've produced videos that aren't necessarily on my forward-facing Facebook or YouTube, but that I'll send to clients about the inspection process.
Yeah, good point.
Like what to expect when you're inspecting, what stages your transaction is going through. Okay, now we're waiting for underwriting to happen. Now we're moving on. Now we have the inspection back and forth with the responses and all this kind of stuff, and just to help people kind of understand their position, what's coming up next, what to expect, and it definitely puts them at ease. But some of that stuff has really started to make it into the content that's going forward. And I've had clients tell me that that's given them a lot of value as far as they can like go back and rewatch. Because when they sit down, when they talk with me, no offense everyone, it can be like drinking from a fire hose. I got way too much information, like the run-off list of facts.
Totally.
It can be a bit much to try and remember all that and to stay up on it. But to have those pieces of video content, it's helpful in that way, to be able to bring that extra knowledge, and also to not have to revisit it all the time myself. So as time goes on, I know for me, I'm building out more content that's going to be about every little topic within real estate. At the moment, I've been showing people a lot of neighborhoods. Make sure you check in with our YouTube channel, Living in the PNW. I'll put that in the links down below. We're kind of showing through Southwest Washington and also around the Portland, Oregon area, some of the top builders and who's doing really cool stuff as far as what's out there to shop. But in addition to that, it's really about making people educated so that they can make the right decision for themselves, their family, and their future.
Yeah,
for certain.
Yeah, I think like that video aspect of when you're educating a client through the process is actually, more profound than when you're having that conversation. Because like Kevin just said, I'm the same way too. Like I want you to know as much information as I know about mortgage and real estate and going through that. That way, when you are buying your house or refinancing or investment property, whatever the financing or transaction might be, you're just 100% comfortable. Like you don't have any of those extra questions and stuff like that. And that's actually how like I started my video process back in 2016 after I'd gotten the business in 15 and then got licensed. Just shooting on my cell phone, here's what an appraisal is, here's what this is. Like the value of it is this, is we can have the conversation all we want, but the client might forget it, right? Mm-hmm. You can send an email all you want, client could read it, they also could delete it. The video, they can keep coming back, rewatching, relearning. Oh, I didn't get, I missed this little part of it. Rewatch the video, there it is. Oh yeah, the home inspection is X amount of dollars, right? That's the power of that stuff. It's almost like continuous education for the client as much as they want it.
Right. I feel like all industries have that. And anyone, even if you're a landscaper, it doesn't matter. If you're a builder, if you have a dress shop, like whatever it is you have, I think these pieces of information are really important for everyone to put into play. Don't be afraid to get in front of the camera and do the thing I'm saying. You'll be glad that you did, and your customers will too. But it's really, again, changed how we do business and how we go about the whole thing. So instead of just getting a pamphlet, I'm going to give you a playlist of videos, and that's going to connect and hit on a whole different level.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean it's always been, for me, it's been like a key to business, and it's a new wave, right? I think, if you look at it over the last 6 years,
right.
Video has just really taken off. Podcasts really taken off. Like, almost becoming a new norm of getting yourself out there, promoting either your business, yourself, educating clients, being transparent about things. Like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Super glad to have it. So I think we've covered a lot of stuff with that video. If you guys want more help when it comes to videos or some insight, feel free to reach out. Days, nights, evenings, weekends. Like we're here to converse. This is an open format, and we just consult with people. Really, my grandma told me if you're going to be anything, be helpful.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm trying to do.
There.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Totally taught me right. And so if there's any information or resources that we can help get you in touch with, we're definitely interested in doing that. But on that, okay, so since we covered this a bit, I want to take a left turn, just a little bit. Now, for anyone who's watching or following or checking out the news, they know real estate has been in a state of flux for quite some time. It's gotten to be a very challenging market for a lot of people, and a lot of realtors like me didn't survive it. And especially the rate hikes as it started to go up, it really affected things, and also really affected the lenders big time. I mean, both of these industries have shrunk massively to half or less of the expected number of agents that we'd have present at the moment. So in that sense, the fact that we're still surviving and sitting here today shows a couple of things. It does show that we work extra hard and that we take extra serious our jobs and our relationships with our clients. And since we are still standing here, I guess that means that we probably have a little bit of insight that these other folks that fell out didn't.
I think so.
Yeah, maybe so. So with that, I want to ask, what are some of the common things that you're seeing people struggling with right now in this climate, and what are maybe some ways that they can sort of avoid some of those pitfalls?
Yeah, great question. I mean, really, I think one, like Kevin was just saying, it hasn't been easy for anyone, especially this last, 4-year run for the most part. But what you've just seen, and you out there sitting there can feel it, like costs have just gone up, groceries have gone up, expenses have gone up, gas has gone up, income just necessarily has not gone up. It hasn't kept up with our costs. And a lot of this conversations I have with clients, and when I'm doing, a consultation and really figuring out, what they're looking to do, what house they're looking to purchase at, what their job history is, and credit and assets and stuff. It's not unknown right now, and not a surprise that people have credit card debt, really. And when you look back, and it's sad in a sense that we as an economy, we as like America, like have not been able to put either increased wages out there or even promote more jobs for people to keep up with this, because inflation went up, as everybody knows. Interest rates went up. It made housing payments double, sometimes even triple. So you're not seeing the average person at 50 grand a year all of a sudden become 100 grand a year, all of a sudden become 150 grand a year. Mm-hmm. So you have a huge disconnect there, and that stuff, one, tears at my heartstrings, because I'm all for, people helping people, like we were just talking about, right? And when you see this disconnect there of expenses and income, like it becomes super challenging for people. And finances are, it's nothing to be taken lightly. And as me and Kevin, know in this business, like you're dealing with people's finances, which is also people's emotions. That's why it's like this roller coaster we go on with clients, right? Like, it's people say, real estate isn't for the faint of hearts. And that's why, because you are dealing with that person's life for, a little bit of time, and the finances are a big part. So with that higher credit card debt, that's where I've seen that really hold clients back right now, because what it is most consumers out there, for the difference on what it's costing them to survive and live versus the lower income that they're not maybe making enough, like how do you make up that difference? Well, you put it on credit cards, is what's happened. And, I think we're at like one of the highest national credit card debts that we've seen in some time now. Yeah. And there's the flip side, and we were actually talking about this on the MLO show too, is the understanding of why people are doing that. Like you still got to eat, right? You still got to provide for your family. You still got to make it to your work, with the higher price of gas. So you don't really have a means there unless you have like a really big savings account, right? Or something like that. So you're putting it on a credit card. And what that's really done is higher credit card balances and lower credit scores. They make credit card payments higher, monthly for them. And those are kind of facts that kind of hold them back and pitfalls. And it's just not, it's no one's fault but trying to survive through this economy, right? But some of the things that we've kind of talked about that I try to educate a client through is, okay, let's look at, take down your monthly budget right now and just start to get a grasp of like what it looks like. Like a lot of people don't even like to look at finances, And it is kind of scary for people, right? Sure. I make the joke, I'm like, hey, what do we all do in the morning? You normally wake up, brush your teeth or something, right? And then probably have to go to the bathroom, right? Uh-huh. Well, you're sitting there, pull the phone up. Guess where banking's at nowadays? Right on an app, right? So let's just start by looking at the bank account. What happened yesterday? What did we spend our money on? I totally understand it. I got kids. I understand. We all understand like the little buys here and there that can really add up. But start to look at those, because right now we're not just going to pump a bunch of money into the bank from an outside source. If there is additional income or opportunities for that, by any means, take advantage, right? Right. But usually the first thing you can do is start cutting out some type of cost, right? Sure. So maybe start at that, and that can help you maybe start to pay down those credit cards a little bit faster, or pay it down a little bit more, because you've got to start bridging that gap right now, because it's just growing for clients, is the credit card debt, or other types of maybe loan debt or something that they're using to make up for it. And then that should also help your credit scores improve. And just those are kind of the two pitfalls right now for most people, is you got higher debt, it creates higher payments, it drops the credit scores, and really there's no savings to buy.
Right. Yeah, that is definitely across
Huge
the
whirlwind
board.
I just dropped on you there, but it's like, it's the reality we're facing.
It totally is. I mean, with that super high debt on those credit cards at higher interest rate, and what fascinates me is that there are so many homeowners out there who have gotten so much appreciation. All right, I got a client who bought their house 5 years ago, sold it for double what they paid for it, and that whole time they're just running up credit card debt, running it up, right? And they've got a ton to pay off, but it keeps getting bigger and bigger because it's a higher percentage. Folks, you can use the equity that's in your home to pay off the credit card debt and get that interest rate dropped way down, because that compounding interest is a killer. It will destroy your finances. If you have been in your home for more than 24 months and you own your home right now, you really need to reach out, because through either restructuring with refinancing, which may or may not be the solution, if you've got a 2% interest rate, you're not trying to let that go. Right. I get it. But also, you have equity. You can use home equity lines of credit, and there's other ways that you can restructure your picture so that the interest doesn't just keep going up. Because, if you have 4 or 5 lines of credit, and so you got a little balance on it for a while, but after 12 months, they're not giving you that favorable repayment. Yeah. Suddenly, your payment went from $100 a month to $400 a month on each card, and the balances are skyrocketing while you're making the minimum payment. There's better ways that people can structure, and they don't know about it. I'm helping people buy houses all the time, and they don't understand this. So I'm having to kind of like reel them back in. Yep. And start different, and maybe start 6 months early with a conversation with a lender. Talk to your lender way before you decide to go out shopping, to get the picture, understand where it's at. Because if you can make some changes over the next 90 days before you go to put an offer on a house, specific changes that your lenders will absolutely help guide you through, then by the time you go to buy that house, you're going to pay a lot less for it over time. Instead of paying $1 million over time for that $500,000 house, you might be looking at $750,000, just because you moved around $10,000 worth of credit card debt, $250,000 change over the life of the loan, because you figured out how to move like the $5,000 from your last auto repair off of that, and, 100%. And change your debt.
Yeah, and like you nailed it, Kevin. That's the one thing people forget about, and they do get hung up because, like, most people did refinance in those historical lower rate time frames, 2020, 2021, and they don't want to give that up. They don't want to go do a refinance right now at a 6 to 7% interest rate. Yeah. Where you're going up three times an interest rate. But what's the other options? Like, you nailed it. Like, you can take a look into doing home equity line of credit. So, even on a base level, let's just say your credit card debt is 22%, and let's say your home equity line of credit is 10%, right? That's 12% difference.
Yes.
Just in interest rate form.
A compounding 12%.
Compounding 12%. And compounding is the key word on that. And then, okay, maybe we're not looking at doing a type of mortgage or line of credit. Okay, well, let's look at maybe some personal loans out there, debt consolidation personal loans, right? Lower interest yielding on those, so that could help you. You could also look at a balance transfer. Maybe, like there's some good credit cards out there that allow for, 12, 15, 22 months interest. 0% interest, and then they click in, right? So take a look at that. There's ways to try to alleviate these credit card debts that's out there. And, a frustrating part too from like a consumer is, have you ever looked at like how much money credit card companies actually make, It's ridiculous, it's ridiculous. I'm not going to sit here and try to nail it on the head, because we actually looked this up on our podcast the other day, and it was in like the big words. We're talking big time, not millions, but big time money. Way above that. I think it was even talking in the B word. But think about that. where you have the entire, consumer base, just people in general, human beings, your citizens, struggling because these credit cards have gone up. And by no fault in their own, because they couldn't keep up with the cost of living, and you have the big bank companies and credit card companies just absolutely raking in tons and tons and tons of money, off the backs of our people. And it's just, it's unfair, but hey, nobody's going to come save us, right? So we got to look out for each other. And that's where it's okay. Let's start to look at ways to consolidate that debt. Let's get out of those payments and stuff, or at least try to get ourselves to a more manageable payment. Because as you know too, on a credit card or any type of thing that's compounding like that, it's just going to keep growing.
Yeah.
Like there is no stopping it once the car's on the track. Like it keeps going. So, you just put 10 grand on there. We're not paying down, the balance very much. You got 22% interest on it. Now all of a sudden that's 11, 12, 15, 20 grand. Like it grows,
Really fast.
Really fast, yeah.
Really fast. It's almost like it hits a critical mass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that thing you said about balance transfers. That's totally legit. People, if you got credit card debt and you can still open another line of credit, specific ones do allow you to transfer the balance from other cards onto it. So you can defer some of that interest for a while. So even doing something like that can make a big change in your credit picture. And then you don't necessarily have to close the other one. It can still look kind of good. But these are little details, and everybody's situation is different. Everyone's got a different financial picture. But things like this bit of information is stuff that we can help you and bring to the table to help you to get your picture in order in a way that maybe you haven't thought of before. And necessarily, these aren't things that we benefit from. Okay, I'm not going to get any benefit from helping you figure out your credit. You might or might not buy a house. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that we have some information that's going to benefit anyone and everyone who's willing to listen, or who's willing to open up and share and talk about what it is you have going on. And we're happy to bring that to the table. So this is just the beginning of it. For more of this kind of great information, make sure that you subscribe to the channels, follow us on the socials, and all of Casey's links are going to be down in the description below this video. Make sure and check it out. I'm a big fan of their podcast personally. Not a lot of people are bringing this level of information, and a lot of the real estate people out there, no offense, they're just doing salesy stuff. They're just trying to sell you on something. They're not really bringing that value of bringing information, showing you the behind the scenes, and opening access for you to get your questions answered. If you got a question, leave it in the comments. I read all of them. I will respond. And if it makes sense, let's hop on a Zoom. Let's have a conversation. That's really what I'm here to do. Any knowledge that's not passed is knowledge that's lost. And I'm steadily gaining tons of it, so I definitely want to pass it on to people. And Casey, it's been so great for you to sit with us today and really show us, a lot of the knowledge that you have to bring to the table. Just that bit of what you're seeing clients experience, and that simple little roadmap of how to kind of like look at the picture. I'm sure that's huge value to folks out there. If you have any further questions about it, reach out to Casey directly. Absolutely. Anything else you want to say before we sign off today?
Yeah, no, follow us on our MLO. You'll have all the links below on that podcast. We're on all platforms. You'll catch my social medias and stuff like that. And like Kevin said, it's never sales for me. I educate clients. I just want them to know as much as I know. And I know we're all different, right? Everyone's different like DNA, right? But if we can help you get to a better place, that's just good life right there, right? Like we're just helping people succeed. So yeah, drop me comments. I read them all. Anything like that, happy to help. But thanks for having me on the show, brother.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for coming. And to all of you out there, I wish you the absolute best of fortune in your pursuits, whatever that is. And if we can be a benefit of it to you in any way, shape, or form, or help you get connected with the people that you need to get connected with, reach out. All right, we'll see you in the next one.